It looks like no Big Ten expansion before 2026. I'll explain why. Plus, the Ohio State Buckeyes have named QB1 for the upcoming season. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com and get yourself started. We officially pause the expansion talk. We'll explain why. Plus, the Buckeyes name a starter, and we'll have our preliminary pigskin picks. Games are coming. They're right around the corner. But first, the August 15th deadline for ACC schools to announce that they would be leaving the ACC hypothetically and realigning with another conference has come and gone. And since we think a natural landing spot for many of those schools, like Florida State, for example, would be the Big Ten, all should be quiet and status quo for the 2025 season. We always keep an eye on that stuff. Unless, of course, Notre Dame decides that they want to join next year, since it is presumed they have an open invitation to join the big time anywhere, anytime. And as an independent, they do not have to adhere to another conference and its rules and its buyout clauses totaling hundreds of millions of dollars. And while I don't think that'll happen in time for 2025, if I may just go off on a side tangent for just a moment. If you are new to this podcast, I do think ultimately Notre Dame will have to give up its dream of remaining independent, and they'll have to join a conference once the mandatory revenue sharing plan is implemented following the House versus NCAA verdict, which each major school will then be forced to pay athletes from past, present, and future to the tune of $22 million a year. Now, I know Notre Dame is a wealthy school, but even rich schools are going to have to look under the cushions for a few coins here and there and pull together $22 million of a line item on the athletic budget each and every year for the next 10 years. That's a lot of money. So the best way for a school like Notre Dame to do that is to jump to a more lucrative TV contract like the one that the Big Ten has. And yes, I know Notre Dame has a decent TV contract, but it's not as good as the Big Tens or the SECs for that matter. And an extra $22 million expense is an extra $22 million expense. So I think they will have to do something. But anyway, I digress. That's for you guys who might be new to our podcast. You everydayers know how I feel about this. But let's go back to the ACC schools for a moment that will be on the move eventually. Primarily Florida State and Clemson, who are in the middle of a lawsuit in an attempt to get out of the ACC and out from under the lowball long-term media rights deal through 2036. Now, these lawsuits and countersuits have been going on all year. This is nothing new. It's well documented here on Locked On Big Ten. But with this August 15th deadline coming and going now, we should mention, and did mention 2 days ago, that mediation between Florida State and Clemson and the ACC began this week. In fact, it was ordered by one of the judges in one of the lawsuits, and he gave a certain window of about 120 days to get it going, and we're coming up on that. So they've started mediation because the judge has told it to, and they're coming up on that deadline as well. So where are we today? All right, the lawsuits between Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC and the countersuits, they all continue. No settlement has been reached this summer, as we were keeping an eye out for that possibility all summer long. Mediation has begun to search for a compromise between all parties involved. And the August 15th deadline means that Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC will remain intact at least through the 2025 season, the 2024 season, and the 2025 season. There are now two more dates that we need to keep an eye on in the future. Naturally, August 15th, 2025, a year from now. Everything moves forward a year. August 15th, 2025 will be the next deadline for ACC schools to announce their intentions of leaving for another conference in time for the 2026 season. By then, any ongoing mediations that are just now getting underway or any settlement that may or may not be in the works should be reached by then. You would think some kind of solution could or should be in the works as we move along. Now we've got a little breathing room, if you will. You would think. Before that, though, there's a little bit of a wild card in all of this, and I'm going to jump back into it. We've discussed this at length here before. Some of you are pretty good on this stuff and pretty smart on this stuff, because I could tell from the comments that you guys leave that you're pretty well versed on what I'm about to talk about. In February of 2025, that's 6 months from now, ESPN has a look-in clause in this media rights deal with the ACC that goes on until 2036. And of course, obviously, this deal through 2036 has not aged very well when you compare it to the big money that the Big Ten and the SEC has procured in the meantime. So this look-in clause was put in to assess the current marketplace mid-contract. And obviously, it's out of whack. Now, ESPN could kill this deal by 2027 out of the goodness of its heart, and that would make the ACC schools very happy. But this is a great deal for ESPN. I mean, financially, why wouldn't they want to keep paying virtually nothing to its member schools and have a product to air on its network and pay as little as money as possible between now and 2036 to carry these schools and their games on TV? But ESPN also has a product that it wants to see flourish. What good would it do ESPN to have the ACC rights if the ACC blows up and people say, the heck with it, I'm just going to pay my way out of here? And now you got nothing left. How valuable of a product is the ACC going to be for ESPN if, for example, SMU, Duke, Stanford, and Cal are your premier products because everybody else is left? That's not going to be any good. And in fact, at that point, ESPN may actually be overpaying its rights money to schools like that. No offense. So maybe, just maybe, ESPN will allow for some flexibility to appease its member schools. Maybe. This is a big wild card. Again, February 2025. But the problem is, they're not going to still, even under the best case scenarios, they're not going to just all of a sudden start paying ACC schools the kind of money that the Big Ten or the SEC schools are getting paid for their media deals. Florida State thinks of itself as a premier football program, and they should. And it really bugs them to see Rutgers and Northwestern and Indiana and Purdue making $70 to $100 million a year as these deals age compared to what they're getting stuck in the ACC as a football powerhouse. They don't like it. It doesn't sit well with them. That's why they want to get out. And they've stated that they want to get out of the ACC. They made that very, very clear. So here's the other thing. Once one or two teams leave, it's over. It's over. This whole thing, the ACC is going to blow up. I mean, just look at the Pac-12 as Exhibit A. That's all you need to see. I mean, when some of their marquee schools started leaving, the rest went like that. And then there were just two left. That's what's going to happen to the ACC. Mark my words. It's just a matter of when. One or two departures, it sets in panic mode for everybody. It's like a sell-off. Schools scrambling, trying to find a home in a mega million of dollars version of musical chairs is what it really is. But things seem to be quiet for now. 2024, 2025, status quo. Your thoughts and comments. I know you've got thoughts and comments on this. I'll see them on the comments on YouTube. You can also hit us up on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten 10. Don't forget our website as well. You can hit me out there with an email, and that is talkbig1010.com. And I'll look forward to seeing all that. By the way, while you're there, you can follow up on all of our latest podcasts. We do this every day. All your favorite teams in the Big Ten. And then we also group them chronologically and also by the school. So if you're a fan of a certain school, you can go find it and find all the podcasts that kind of featured that school that particular day. And while you're there, Get some brand new Big Ten team merchandise going into the 2024 season. Get some new shirts and hats. They're right there on the website, talkbig10.com. So a couple other things I'd like to ask you to do, if you don't mind. If you've noticed, we are this close to 10,000 subscribers. If you don't mind, if you haven't yet, if you check this podcast out from time to time or every day, hit subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. No personal information required. Just hit click and you're subscribed. You'll be doing us a great favor as well. And if you can, whether you watch on video or listen on audio only, if you wouldn't mind sharing, just hit the share arrow and send this to somebody you think might enjoy some Big Ten talk. We're going to spread the word. I'm going to work on kind of advancing that as our new cause moving forward once we get our 10,000 subscribers. Anyway, we'll love it if you could do that for us as well. Again, subscribe and follow and like and share Locked On Big Ten for free. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts. And that way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right. We have QB1. We have a starting quarterback named in Columbus, Ohio. That is next. Oh, and some Big Ten hockey outdoors. Just going to throw that at the end for you as well. Hang around for all that. It's coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes every sport better, a little more exciting, a little more buzz with each of the games you're watching. If you got a little something on it with FanDuel, this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. We got a lot of good ones on Friday. Pair a couple of these together with a two-team parlay, if you want. Make it a little more exciting, like Padres over the Rockies. By the way, take the over on that one. Astros over the White Sox, who are bad. Mets over the Marlins and O's over the Red Sox. I also like the Diamondbacks over the Rays Friday night. Phillies over the Nationals, and I'll take the Yankees over the Tigers. And why don't you throw in a prop bet while you're at it for Aaron Judge to hit a home run? You're welcome. Generally, NFL preseason games, take the under. Offenses, nobody's playing, you know how it is. So that's what we'll do. You can do it all right there on FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Well, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten wherever you're at and catching this podcast. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to peruse our website, talkbig1010.com. And for a second listen, check out our friends at Locked On College Football. They have a podcast every day with all things college football each and every day, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. What a difference a year makes in Columbus, Ohio. Last year, Ryan Day wanted to name a starting quarterback between Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. Remember that battle? Heading into game week, before the first game, and it just never materialized. It just didn't. And the fact that QB1 situation wasn't even nailed down at Ohio State until after the second game of the season. Finally, Ryan Day made a decision. Let's go with Kyle McCord. And they finished the regular season with him on that. Not an ideal way, according to Ryan Day, the way you want to set things up and get ready for the season. So fast forward to 2024. Kansas State transfer Will Howard has led a quarterback room of 5 potential starters. And now, as of mid-August, ahead of schedule, Ryan Day has named Howard the Buckeyes starting quarterback for week 1. That will be August 31st against Akron. And of the 5 Buckeye quarterbacks, Howard has the most experience by far. It's not even close. He started 28 games at Kansas State, helped him win a Big 12 title in 2022. By the way, we still insist that you keep an eye on 5-star freshman and Alabama transfer Julian Sayin. Been playing very well, kind of floating out the theory that maybe Will Howard is a starting quarterback at the beginning of the season, but even if everybody stays healthy, maybe Sayin, maybe the starter at the end of the season, just throwing it out there for a talking point. Ryan Day heaped nothing but praise on Howard, saying that the 6'4", 235-pound quarterback has changed his body in the offseason, gotten a lot stronger He's good with his legs and his arm to become a true dual threat. He's got command of the offense, command of the huddle, really knows what he's doing out there, according to Ryan Day. Howard did set a Kansas State record with 48 passing touchdowns. He has thrown for 5,786 yards, has another 19 career touchdowns on the ground. So after naming Howard the starter, Day, he didn't stop there. He also said that junior Devin Brown, who came up short in the battle last year with Kyle McCord, going to come up short this year with Will Howard. He says, he does have 8 games that he's played and a little bit of experience. So Ryan Day says he will be the backup quarterback. However, he did mention that Sayin is still in the mix to be the primary backup. So Will Howard solidified as QB1. QB2 for now is Devin Brown, but watch out for Julian Sayin. And now we have to wait for the Buckeyes' rival Michigan to announce who their starting quarterback will be. Kind of unusual to have both of these schools enter the summer with so many questions at quarterback, right? But yesterday's Locked On Big Ten podcast, by the way, go back and check it out on our website, talkbig10.com. We talked about Michigan a little bit, what's going on with their battle between Alex Orji and Davis Warren and Jack Tuttle. So if you missed it, go back and check it out. But that's still working itself out, and I don't think a decision's coming anytime soon. Sherrone Moore said it could be, hey, week 1, it could be right before the first game. So anyway, that's the latest there. Now, obviously, every year, the game between Michigan and Ohio State is the Big Ten game of the year, bar none, every year. But not this year. Going into the 2024 college football season, it appears that the October 12th date between Ohio State and Oregon at Autzen Stadium will be the game of the year. Both teams just came out in the preseason AP Top 25 poll. Ohio State's 2, Oregon's 3. So you get number 2 versus number 3. Both these teams could be battling all through the season and maybe even do a rematch for the Big Ten championship game. The Buckeyes, by the way, hold a 9-1 series lead in their 10 prior meetings. So while we debate whether the Ohio State-Michigan game or Ohio State-Oregon is the biggest game of the Big Ten this year, some are hailing it as the biggest game ever at Autzen Stadium in the history of the stadium. Oregon head coach Dan Lanning says it's games like this that gets everyone excited about joining the Big Ten at Oregon. And he feels he has built a roster that can win every game, not just build a roster that can win Big Ten style with defenses and all that stuff. Again, their defense is good, just like their offense. They are built to be competitive every week in their schedule. You may have noticed that we loved following the Oregon Ducks mascot as he did a tour of the Big Ten and posted everything on social media. It all started in when it became official that Oregon was officially a member of the Big Ten August 2nd. The Ducks showed up at the Big Ten Network studios, crashed the Pat McAfee show, crashed a Matt Rule Nebraska press conference, did social media posts from every stadium in the Big Ten, showed up, made a big deal, looked like he was trying to break in and all that kind of stuff, taking lots of pictures. Except for one. Didn't bother to go to Seattle and Washington, arch rival. Left Seattle off the visit. In fact, posted a video of him crossing off all the places on the map, coast to coast in the Big Ten, but just tore off the corner of the map with Seattle. Didn't even want to do it. That's what rivalries are all about. Hey, so as many of you know that Northwestern is getting a brand new football stadium. Very excited about that. The old one has been completely torn down, and a shiny new replacement will be in place for the start of the 2026 college football season. In the meantime, the Wildcats will be back on campus playing in a makeshift, cozy 15,000-seat stadium on the shores of beautiful Lake Michigan, where they've installed a 15,000-seat bleacher section or sections of bleachers, so 15,000. It's on the old soccer and lacrosse fields. By the way, those teams will play there too. And now they have a corporate naming agreement with Northwestern Medicine. It'll be called the Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin Stadium for 2 years while it exists. It's an exclusive naming rights deal for 2 years with the university, and that's a university-affiliated nonprofit healthcare system. And at least one Northwestern game will be at Wrigley Field, homecoming against Ohio State to accommodate a bigger crowd. And speaking of Wrigley Field, This was kind of cool. Came down on Thursday. The Big Ten and the Cubs announced that they will hold 4 outside hockey games January 3rd and January 4th, days after the NHL puts on its annual Winter Classic between the Blackhawks and the Blues at Wrigley on December 31st. They're going to keep the hockey set up and get it ready for these Big Ten games. It's being called the Frozen Confines Big Ten Hockey Series. That's pretty cool. It's going to feature 3 men's games and 1 women's game. So here's the schedule. January 3rd, the 2 men's games will feature Penn State versus Notre Dame and Ohio State versus Michigan. Then on January 4th, it'll feature Wisconsin and Michigan State. And then the women's game will feature Ohio State and Wisconsin. So that's very cool. So mark your calendars. Early January, Big Ten hockey outdoors at Wrigley. That should be fun for a lot of people. All right. We like to do pigskin picks on Friday. We're getting close. I decided to throw. So here's what we did. So we looked ahead. We took the AP top 25 that's out. There are 6 Big Ten teams in there, but we took the whole AP top 25, all the ones that we could find lines for. Some of these blowout games for week 1, Vegas won't even put a line on it. So we use our friends at FanDuel. We got the lines, all the top 25 games that start week 0 and or week 1. We're getting close. So we put them up there, and obviously highlighting the Big Ten teams. So we'll have that. Call it an exhibition. I'm not going to make official picks just yet until we get to the eve of the season. We'll go do a little exhibition. We'll walk through this. It's all coming up here in 1 minute on Lockdown Big Ten. Hey, if you want to go to a game, get your tickets at GameTime. Get the GameTime app and download it on your phone or your device right now. And you can get tickets to everything. You want to go to a Big Ten game? Cool. You want to go to a Major League Baseball game? GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball. Makes getting tickets faster and easier. In fact, on the GameTime app, prices can actually go down right before first pitch for some of these baseball games. But you can get last-minute deals, save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater. It's not just sports. It's anything that needs a ticket. It's right there on GameTime. So check it out. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or Big Ten tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, and the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, I want to put up some games here. We're getting close to week 0 and week 1. So let me get them up here on screen. If you are audio only, I'll explain them in detail so you don't have to worry about it and won't feel left out. And put it up. Here we go. Full screen. Pigskin picks. Here we go. Here are the lines that are out right now. Again, we'll make our official picks as we get closer to and we'll just do Big Ten games when it gets time. But right now, I decided to throw up the top 25 matchups featuring top 25 teams. If there's a line, some of these games don't have a line because it's so big of a blowout. Vegas isn't touching them this far out, but we'll pick it up week 0, Saturday, August 24th, 10th ranked Florida State taking on Georgia Tech. And right now, Florida State is an 11.5 point favorite. I think that's increased. I thought it was 10.5 before. Over under at 56.5, expecting a lot of scoring out of that one. And then on Friday, the next week, Friday, August 30th, we start week 1. We got Temple at number 16, Oklahoma, a 43.5 point favorite, over under at 59.5. Going to be some points scored to that one. All right, here's some more as we look ahead to the openers for everybody else. Saturday, August 31st, got number 14, Clemson versus number 1, Georgia. That's a big one. Dabo needs this one. Dabo needs, but I got a feeling Georgia's going to win. But the question is, will they cover the 14 and the over under at 48.5? All right, we got some Big Ten action. Penn State holding it a 10-point favorite at West Virginia. I think that game could be tough for a while. Over under at 51.5. Certainly expect Penn State to win. Illinois State is at number 25, Iowa. Iowa, who cracks the top 25. The Iowa Hawkeyes are a 24.5-point favorite. The over-under at 42.5. First of all, let's be honest. We're big Iowa fans. Can they score 25 points? Let alone win by 25? That would be something. I definitely would take the under on 42.5. When's the last time you saw an Iowa number in the 40s? No way. Take the under. Free money. You're welcome. All right, what else we got here? We got South Dakota State at number 17, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, a 9-point favorite. The number there, 53.5. They got a great running game there at Oklahoma State. Let's see here. Akron and number 2, Ohio State Buckeyes. Will Howard will be making the start. Look at this. Look at these numbers. Ohio State is a 50.5-point favorite, and the over-under is at 58. So Vegas is telling you this is going to be a 51-7 ball game. That's basically what that means, give or take. Colorado State at number 4, Texas. Texas, a 35-point favorite. 7-touchdown favorite. 59.5 points on that one. Texas has lost not 1, but 2 running backs with major injuries. Quinn Ewers, though, still quarterback. All right, more from Saturday, August 31st. The Miami Hurricanes, ranked 19, taking on the Florida Gators. Have you seen the Florida Gators schedule? It is brutal. Meanwhile, Miami, a 2.5-point favorite. Cam Ward, quarterback, replacing Tyler Van Dyke, who went to Wisconsin. 54.5 is the number on that game. And also, we got Western Kentucky at number 5, Alabama. Look at this. This is weird. You know how I just showed you how Ohio State's like a 50-point favorite and the total's like 58.5? Look at this one with Alabama. Alabama, a 31-point favorite, but the number is 60.5. Thought that was unusual. Idaho at number 3, Oregon. Here's another Big Ten school. They're saying Oregon, 43.5-point favorites. Will they cover? The number's at 62.5. I think they will cover that number, as a matter of fact. Meanwhile, number 7, Notre Dame at number 20, Texas A&M. A&M a 2-point favorite, the number 46.5 there. And Fresno State at number 9, Michigan. Michigan, a 21-point favorite, over under at 47.5. Now, again, word of caution to Michigan. We are on the record. We think they're going to be much better than people think. Those that don't think they will be good after losing all the players to the NFL. Coaching changes, all that stuff. Remember those early games last year? What was it? Michigan fans were complaining that Michigan was not covering. They were winning. They were winning by multiple touchdowns, but they were not covering. And Fresno State's pretty respectable. What do you think? Maybe Michigan wins by 18, 19. I don't know if they cover that number. They win, though, but I don't know if they cover the number. Just a tip for me. New Mexico at number 21, Arizona. We mentioned yesterday, Arizona, Jed Fish leaving the cupboard full, still a ranked team and a 30-point favorite with the number at 54.5 for Arizona. And then finally on Sunday, September 1, rounding out week 1, college football, number 23, USC in the Big Ten, representing the Big Ten in a nationally televised game, the only game in town that day, the break between the NFL preseason and the regular season. College football has the day to itself. It means Big Ten football. Southern Cal taking on LSU. That's at Vegas, right? LSU ranked 13th, USC ranked 23rd, and LSU a 6-point favorite. That was 6.5. That's dropped a half a point. Over under at 62.5. Going to be a high-scoring game, of course. LSU has not had a good defense lately, and we know USC hasn't. Yeah, I might take the over on that, 62.5. Be an exciting game, though. Be a lot of fun. All right. That's it for our Pigskin Picks heading into the weekend. It has been a busy, crazy week. It's been a lot of fun. We'll keep an eye on everything out there. And obviously, we're getting toward game week now. Because pretty soon, we're going to start breaking down matchups right here. Love it. So that'll be fantastic. Anyway, spread the word. Tell your friends that we're out here. If you got Big Ten friends, let them know we're here. Share our podcast. Just slip it to them. Say, hey, check this out. In the meantime, the many ways for you to reach out to me. of course, with Twitter or X at Talk Big 10, number 10. And also the comments on YouTube. I know anytime we do expansion talk and all that kind of stuff, you can get a lot of comments. That's good. Love to hear you. And I spent some time talking about Notre Dame earlier today. I know I'm going to hear from the Golden Domers. Always welcome them as well. Meanwhile, you can hit us up on our website as well, talkbig10, number 10.com. All of our podcasts are there chronologically and grouped by school. And you can get merchandise from your favorite teams, support them for the 2024 college football season right there at your fingertips on our website, talkbig10.com. And before you go, be sure to subscribe. Let's see if this weekend we can push ourselves over 10,000 subscribers. We're that close. Maybe you're the one that puts us over the top. And you can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app and share it. And, of course, you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Check out another episode or two of Locked On Big Ten over the weekend. And then for a second listen, check out our friends at Locked On College Football. They have a podcast there, gets ready for the season, stuff off the field, practice on the field, everything going on in college football. It is called Locked On College Football, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Have a wonderful weekend. Get rested up because pretty soon you can be spending your entire weekends watching college football. That is all right around the corner. Appreciate it. As always, talk to you next time. Have a good weekend. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.